Welcome to the second episode of the podcast The Normal World. Today's guest is Gonny Farley, and together we'll dive into the world of softball. We'll talk about where and when she started her softball career, the Olympics of '96, and of course about her experience transitioning from the athlete world into the normal world. Welcome to the normal world of Gonny Farley. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be here.
Thank you so much for joining my podcast. It's the first episode with a real guest. Last time I was interviewed, so thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us something about your sports history and why you started playing softball in the first place?
Yes, of course. It has been a long time since I've started. I think I was 12 or 13, and I'm 53 now, so it's a long time ago. But I went with a friend of mine, and I was playing all kinds of sports: volleyball, tennis, basketball, soccer, but not on a club because my mom didn't like that. And then, so everything with a ball I kind of liked. And she said, "Hey, do you want to join me? I'm going to a new sports softball club." And right away when I came at the first practice, I was really enjoyed it so much, the environment, but the sport itself, it had so many things. I just fell in love with the sport since. And
what specifically did you fall in love with?
I don't know. It's hard to tell you, but if you come on a softball or a baseball field, it's the grass and the gravel, and then hitting of the ball and the gloves, the sound and the smell. And also the sport itself. You hit the ball, you run. It has all kinds of things. You throw, you run. It's tactical, a really good sport. So overall, it has so many things that I really like. And it's a mental sport. You do with the team. It's really cool. But in the end, if you're like hitting and you're at bat, you're all by yourself and you have to do it. So it's really between individual sports and team sports as well. So yeah, I just love it. It's hard to tell, but
so you started when you were 12, 13-ish.
Yeah.
That's kind of late, right? To start with a new sport. Usually they start a bit younger.
Yeah, it's true, but my parents were not like only doing one sport and were crazy about sports anyways. They like sports, but not like, okay, we do soccer and you do that, or we play tennis. So what I did, I played a lot outside with my friends, and I had a lot of boys as friends as well. So we played soccer, we played tennis and hide and seek, and we were always on the street. So I just like to play sports. So from when I was younger, I started with gymnastics because my mom I was the only daughter. I said, gymnastics. That wasn't really my thing. And but everything with the ball, because I had two older brothers, and he played soccer and he played tennis, and I really enjoyed that. So I already played all kinds of sports, but that was the first time I joined a club. So it was late on one hand, on the other hand, I did a lot of things, but always outside with my friends.
Yeah, I think speaking of PE technical terms, I think they recommend it nowadays to do a lot of different sports when you're younger and niche down to one just a bit later. At least that's what I've learned in my education. So at some point it starts to become serious because they found out you're talented, or how did that work?
Yeah, it wasn't a big club. It was RCH in Heemstede. It's a little town near Haarlem, Amsterdam. But I went into the juniors. I was smaller, so I played. The trainers and the coaches saw I was good in it. I was fast. I was quick, and I had a feeling for the ball. I could hit, and it gave me confidence as well. You know, you're good at something, and it was fun. We had fun with some girls, and it was funny because the friend that I joined it with, she left after 1 year, and I didn't leave. So it is funny that my softball career started because of her, but she left, and from there it started, and I stayed at that club quite a while until I went a step further just before the Olympics. So I really liked that club, what they did for me, and I could just educate myself, and my trainers were real. It was really a family club, but also the nice, good atmosphere of learning things. It was safe. I felt safe, so it was good.
Yeah. So did you feel like you were being an elite athlete, or what's your definition of being an elite athlete? And do you think that you practice the sport in that way?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking on that moment when I started it. That became because it turned out we played on a not as highest level from that club, but then I was with the juniors, but they asked me for the second team and the first team, and I was like always on the field almost. I could go on my bike there, and I trained a couple of days a week with that team, and then they saw, I was on the bench, but I could just, and then I started like, I'm really good, but I have to work hard for it, and I really enjoy to work hard for it. But I didn't feel an elite athlete until I was, I think, later 18, 19, that we did really well as a team. We got better coaches. And then, my coach saw me and he said, wow, you're really good. And then I felt like, maybe, I can really get to the top with this. It's a small sport in Holland, but I felt that I was talented. So I didn't feel that until later.
And then did something change when you felt like you were being an elite athlete? Did you go to national team training, for example? Yeah,
because I had a coach came to us, and he saw talent in our team and as well as me. And he said, your strength is you're really fast. So instead of right-handed hitter, we're going to change you into left-handed hitter.
How old were you back then?
I was already 17, 18.
And you switched?
And I switched.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was really cool. And that was the start of my going up. Because in softball, if you're left-handed, and I was just not a big hitter, but a slap hitter, and I could really use my speed. And I came at first base a lot. And that went fly. And then we went to the head class, the highest level in the country. And then everybody could just see me doing that. And then he had contact with the head coach of the national team, and he said, you should really look at her. So I got some phone calls from him, and I was like, I don't know, because my father was sick as well. But then they invited me again, and I went there, and then from that day. But then I was already later in my career. I didn't do that until I was, I think, 23 or so. I went to the national team. So first on not the top level, but the top level in Holland. I did that a lot before I went to the international level. So my career started really late. But I think for me that was really good because I was confident. I had no pressure all the time. I was having fun with playing softball. And for me that was really good. I had leadership. I could show leadership in my club. And not until later I went to another club just for myself to play at the highest level, European Cups, and and also in the national team.
Did that also, because I imagine you gradually went into practicing more hours and going to a higher level. So did that also allow you to really enjoy, for example, high school as kind of a normal kid?
I did. I did not have the top sport life of kids that I know now, that I'm working with, and but I was always on the field because I loved it, not because I had to. And I think that's a difference, because I think I practiced the same times. The only thing we didn't do was like strength and conditioning. We did it, but we didn't during our training, but not a set like, okay, you have to do this or look at your food, but I was always on the field, but not as like a top sport athlete. So I think it was good for me to not have that pressure all the time, not until I was later. So it's out of intrinsic motivation, I guess. Exactly.
And that's the best one you can have.
It is. It is.
And at some point, I already hear you referencing to it. You went to the Olympics.
Yes, and that went really quick. So I went to another club. It's called Terrasvogels. It was a club that everybody knows in softball. And from there on, I went to the national team. And I think I played 3 years for the national team. And then softball started to be in '96, the first time that softball was in the Olympics. Baseball was one time earlier, but that was the first time softball was in the Olympics. And they invited me, and I worked so hard. I put myself on the team, which was really good. And then in Holland in '95, we had the pre-Olympic qualifier here in Haarlem. And the whole, Sparks, it was one of a famous club here in Holland. It was really, everybody was there, the whole country. And the final was, as always, between us and Italy. And I was starter, and I also hit first almost because of my quickness and fastness. And we did really well. We beat them 3-0, and there was our ticket for the Olympics. So that was really cool. And from there on, it was training. But still, I loved it. I loved to be on the field. And I had some friends, and if we didn't have to train, we said, okay, let's hit some balls. And we talked on the field. We went to the field in Zandpoort, and we just had fun and worked hard. So still, we every day, we didn't go to parties. I gave up a lot of things, my family parties, and I was always like, nah, not now, or I can't do it, or vacations, or your boyfriend, my relationships didn't go all the way that well. Broke up just before the Olympics.
Oh no.
And we just bought a house, so it's they say it's tough, but it is really tough. You live it, and I wanted to live my dream. I did it, and it costed also some things on the other side. Yeah. But I never regret that because I had a lot of fun with it.
Were the Olympics always the goal for you, or did that gradually become a goal, or how did that go?
Because first it was like, oh, I can go to that club and I can go to the national team, and then suddenly it was that. So every time I was like, oh, I'm better, I can do this. And I love the team sport, so I was always like, I can put something in this team, I can give something that also the team gets better. And so once it was out there, but I really liked the European Cup for the club. I really enjoyed it as well. It's a little smaller, but and the Europeans championships and the World Championships. Every tournament has its own thing, and the Olympics is of course there, but the other tournaments are so cool because you're in the highest level from your sports, and that's where you're working for and enjoying it and meeting other people that also have the same passion. So it was a lot of fun. I've been over the world quite a bit, and that was really fun to do as well. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And it's so good to hear that you always kept that love for the sport as like your biggest motivation.
Yeah.
I feel like that might also help because you were a lot older.
Yeah.
Back
then.
Yeah,
it's true. So conscious, I made decisions in my life to be on a certain moment, on a certain thing. And I'm happy I stayed with my own club for... I wasn't club
as
hopping
long as you
because
could,
I could. And then it went a little down there. So I said, now I have to make a choice for myself. And then I didn't, and then I was ready for it. So I think that looking back on that, I think I make the right choices. Sometimes you're lucky too, you meet the right people, and I'm happy with that.
And tell me about the Olympics.
Yeah, the Olympics.
Where it was the '96 Olympics?
'96 in Atlanta, the centennial, so it was the 100th Olympics, was special. I like America a lot. My husband is from the States, and I just met him before the Olympics, so he came as well as a surprise. But it was really cool. The only thing it was the first time for our sports, and there happened some things in the team because if it's the first time, everybody's like, whoa, the Olympics, and you want to be there and you have your ticket. Doing that, would I do that over again? I would say we would do that different. But that was the first, so everybody's like, oh, the Olympics. And I never forget the opening ceremony, and we were sitting between the volleyball players, and they were like, we've had this. And we were like, oh, can we take a picture at the picture? So we were so exciting always. And so at the Olympics itself, we played some good games, but we lost the most. And we only, there were 7 teams, and we were 6th. So I got like a certificate. If you're in the top 6, whatever, you get a certificate.
Yeah, Olympic certificate.
But I did actually, personally, I did well, but it doesn't feel like that because as a team, we could have been better. Maybe not in that moment we would have a medal, but top 5 was, we would have 4 or 5. We could have been better.
I can imagine it's also very overwhelming to be there.
It was so overwhelming for everybody, and but I really enjoyed it. And I was older as well, and I had some really good friends on the team. And but there was some tensions because, we weren't experienced with this. So doing it over again, it would be different. But on the other hand, I learned so much of this whole process and the way to it. And that it also gave a lot to my life, that whole experience.
Can you name a couple of things?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but the things that you look up to and you like, it shouldn't happen like this. We could have been better, but it doesn't matter, just enjoy where you are, the whole process. And now you're talking about the growth and the fixed mindset. And with my job and where I am now, if I could have all that and I could take it and give it to the team and myself, but that doesn't happen. So all the experience and the joy and all the people that were sitting in the stadium, and it was completely full, and I will never forget that. And the process going there as well. We lost some players and some other players. There were some decisions made by the coaching. There was some struggling in between the coaches. But that also gave me a lot of knowledge for now as a teacher and as a coach and as a trainer. So it's not like one thing. It's overall everything I did in my life gave something to me for the person I am now and the decisions I make.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's cool.
At the Olympics, something happened that changed your career.
Yeah, really, yeah. I already had not a bad knee, but because I practiced and I did strength and conditioning training, my leg was really good, and so I felt confident. But in the last game, I tore my ligament, and then it was during the game. We won that game, and then I thought, oh, now what? So
you already knew right away that it was bad.
It was bad, yeah. And the physio said, well, you can't play now anymore, but let's see when you get back. So I got back, and right away I got to the doctor and said, we're going to have surgery. Now, okay, that goes with the top sport. You have an injury, but then, you're already in a black hole after the Olympics. Now what? And I was older, and you go to your club, you have seen everything, and then I also has this. So I got surgery, and then you're completely lost. You don't see your players anymore. The club, you think everybody forgets about you. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And then my physio said, you're not going to play again ever. This is not good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, no. But he was a kind of, cynical guy. So I'm like, now what? I was kind of depressed that year.
I imagine,
in 96 after and starting 97. Now what?
Yeah. Was that the moment you quit?
I didn't really quit, but I didn't know what to do. Then a club came to me, and because I am also a sport teacher and a trainer and a coach, I did SEAL, so I know a lot about training. A big club in Holland asked me to be the coach. I'm like, coach? I'm a player, coach. But I'm like, what if I can't play anymore? I can still coach. So I did that. So it was not a conscience I stopped. But for me, I didn't have a choice. I wanted to be in softball. So I said, I'm going to do it.
So for you, it felt like the only option left?
Yeah, it felt kind of like that. So I cannot play again, so I do this. And I can still be with the team and play softball and on the highest level. the experience with the whole team and on that level. So I was kind of also a little bit proud that they asked me. Was that all good? Something inside me said, my player inside me said, I still want to play.
You couldn't let go of the sport
I couldn't
as a player.
let it go as a player. And I coached there, I think, for 3 or 4 years. And I decided, I had a small selection with players, a lot of injuries, to play and coach.
So you could do both.
So I could do both.
Yeah.
And that, if you look back, I'm not sure if I should have done that. But on the other hand, I was doing really well. I had almost the best, I was in the best shape of my life. And I was the best hitter of the country while I was a coach and a player. But it was really tough, as a coach, you also play. Players look at you at a young team. But I really enjoyed it as well because that urge for me to be a player wasn't done yet. So that mix was really tough sometimes, but I also really enjoyed it.
Tough in which way?
Because everybody looks at you like you make the decisions and then you say, okay, I'm going to be in the center field or I'm going to hit at third or first. And then you always have the feeling you have to. And I was always enjoying it. And now you're like, yeah, but everybody looks at you as a coach, but you're a player as well.
So you felt the pressure double?
Double, yeah. And that didn't let me play less, but I didn't really like it. Because I thought maybe they're right, I'm a coach. Should I play? Shouldn't I play? But I wanted to play. So
you was still searching to what your role would be within the sport, maybe as a player, maybe as a coach, but you were still searching.
Yeah, because I wasn't done. And I wanted to be done, but I wasn't. And feeling that was really weird. And I could not see that. And then they asked me, my former coach of the national team, he became head coach again after a while stopping. And then he asked me to be his assistant coach. And then I said, okay, if I'm going to be the assistant coach of the national team, that is a moment for me. I kind of have to stop playing.
Could you let it go then, being a player?
It was still itchy, but it was easier because I had a different role. So when you're with the national team, it's kind of tough to do that. But it was always still something in me that, because I could see that I give players something, but it wasn't enough for me. I wanted to also get that bat myself and I can do this or make the out or score or there was.
What helped you in the end to let go of the sport as a player?
Yeah, it was not until I went to the next club where I had a 6-year plan made to be, it was a very young team with juniors and I said, I want to be in this club. It was not on the highest level. I want to go to the highest level and then go for the national championship. And that time I worked with younger girls and I could see what I could give. And we went to the highest level and then we became national champion. And I saw that was a part of me coaching and not playing. My players were better than me. And then I was like, yeah, I could see that I could give them something. And they were really enjoying it. And I could see them. And then I could enjoy that more than being the player. And that was really late for me. I tried here and there to play again, but I just said, stop. Now I'm going to let it go. And
was that hard?
It was hard because it stopped right after my knee injury and I wanted to play for the national team, but the coach didn't really see me anymore. And I always said it was not my decision to stop at the highest level. The decision is made for me. And that always nagged a little bit until I could really enjoy to be a coach. And then I said, okay, now I can really enjoy it and look at your career. You can be proud of it.
So the second time around, it was your own choice to quit.
Yeah, exactly.
I do recognize that. Yeah. It is, when the decision is made for you, it's well, at least for me, it's so difficult to accept that until you've made that decision yourself. And I can hear that in your story as well, if I'm not mistaken.
No, definitely, yeah, what you say. Then you can see that it's better for you, and you can also look back at it. Well, I can, as I am proud of what I did, and it's a good time now.
Which is nice, yeah.
I'm gonna give something back to the sports on another level,
And that was the start of you giving back to the sport, right? Because where you are right now, I think you've made a complete role out of that, or I don't know how to describe it, but it is very...
Yeah, even coaching, I really enjoy that, giving that back to the sport on that level, but also with my job and my own where I wanted to go is I really like the mental game and make a team of people and take care of that people get better and reach their goals. That I really enjoy that. So yeah, what I do now is I help individual players and I help the national team and I help talented players, not in the sports itself, but to be better players, to be better people, to be better human beings, to be successful in their sports maybe, but also in other things. And that makes me really happy. And that is what I give now. And I have really peace with that because I like it a lot. I see that I can help people, and I can do that because I learned from all the things I did, the successes, but especially also the mistakes I made and the things I went through in my life.
I was going to ask if you would have to name one experience that you now want to pass on to the players you coach, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a very good question because I'm trying to teach them. On the other hand, it's tough because I know myself that doing something yourself is the best experience. But what I say now is enjoy every moment you have. Be in the moment. Don't think about the past. Don't think about what can happen. But enjoy really that you're on the field and you are lucky with all good trainers, coaches, and other kids that can enjoy it now while you can. That is really important. And I did it when I was young. And sometimes I want to go back to there because I had no think of other things than being on the field and having fun playing softball. And sometimes, does a scout watch me? Do I get selected? Not busy with the future, but with the now and the here. Yeah, that is my biggest advice to the younger athletes.
That's maybe a good bridge towards, another question I'd like to ask you, and that is if you would give your younger self some advice about maybe the transition period from being an elite athlete to where you are right now, what age would that girl be and what would you say to her?
Yeah, now, not the younger because I was really having fun. But when I was a little older, so like 18, 19, 20 maybe, I sometimes forget that I'm old. But then I started sometimes to feel pressure and to look at other people that they were better than me. And what I want to say to my students now or the players, that I want to say to myself, enjoy it, on the field, you're right there, and believe what you can do now. Not what you can do tomorrow, now is enough, and then you will fly. And sometimes that I was sometimes insecure because some people were chosen for Jong Oranje, for the younger national team. I was never there. I was there when I was a little older. So you feel insecure by girls that have been there all their lives almost. No need of that. I will give that advice to myself. Go after your dreams.
And believe in yourself. Well, that's a nice one. Yeah. I think that's a nice one to finish this podcast with. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining the podcast, and thank you for sharing your story.
Well, you're welcome, and I really had fun to tell it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This podcast was created, hosted, edited and produced by Annaleid, and the music is We Are Free by Ixen.